Hey friend, so if you clicked on this video and you resonated with the title, you're probably having a bad day, maybe a bad week. Maybe you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, confused, angry, or maybe you feel like you have these emotions where you can't even describe them at all. The first thing I want to say to that is if you are here right now watching this video, you are safe. I think that's something that's really helpful to remind ourselves every now and then. And it's something that I need to remind myself often is even if I'm feeling a lot of tension in my body, if I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or angry or like life is not going my way, if I am able to sit still and just be, I realize that right now, nothing is going on that is threatening my life, that's causing destruction. Right now, I am safe. And that also tells me that a lot of the battle that we have to face whenever we're having a bad day is mental. Part of the reason why I wanted to share this is because I've been having a series of bad days. And by bad days, I don't mean like anything terrible is happening. I just felt like my energy levels have been really low, where nothing bad is happening, but nothing great is happening either, which I think is the kind of bad day that many of us don't like to talk about because we don't want to sound like we're complaining. Because theoretically, nothing is terrible. Life is okay, but it's that repeated feeling of, meh, life could be better, or I know I have the potential to help make it better, but I'm not. Or at least right now, it doesn't feel like anything I'm doing is amounting to anything. And I think that's where we get to a point where we have a series of okay days, not the best days, and then they start to pile up to this point where we feel like we're having an actual bad day. Maybe you're in a situation where you feel like this, or maybe you're in a situation where like actual bad things are happening and you feel like there's so many things out of your control. Even before stepping into that mindset of taking action, what can I do to fix this? It's first pausing and thinking, okay, how bad is it? Do I just feel bad? Or are there things terrible that are happening in my life that I want to try to fix? What does bad mean in this situation and context? And once we get a sense of what that actually means, it's doing things that we need to do to get ourselves in a better place. So maybe for me, I feel like I'm having a bad day, but the thing that I need to do is really accept, okay, I'm just going to do this one thing today. And if I do this one thing, then I would consider this day a win. I'm not going to stress myself. I'm not going to run around in circles and let my monkey mind get the best of me. I'm just going to accept that this is what I need right now. And maybe that's true for you, where in reality, what you actually need is rest. You're not having a bad day. You're just overdoing it. And maybe if you invest in yourself today by giving yourself the rest that you need, tomorrow you're going to have a day where you knock everything out of the park, where people and relationships are going to start to feel like they're more in flow, or whatever that you want to tackle that day gets done because you get into the zone and you get into the flow of doing it. Maybe sometimes to get over a bad day in the present, we need to take this day as a day of rest and just know that that's what we need so that tomorrow can be an even better day. And if you're in the sort of situation where you feel like you're blaming yourself a lot, and I do this all the time too, where I feel like my mind is just going 1,000 miles an hour, or I'm getting distracted and I beat myself up over getting distracted and not getting the thing done. Whenever that happens, I just tell myself that I've experienced these thoughts in the past. I've experienced these feelings in the past. And in each of those times, I've gotten through it. And now I'm here. I think whenever we have bad days, it's important to put today in the context of our lives and think about the times where we have gotten over similar situations, or maybe even overcome situations that were even worse than how things were now. When I was feeling down on myself earlier this morning, I wasn't getting anything done. I was moving a lot slower than I wanted to. And I get down on myself for wasting time because I have all of these big goals. And I tell myself, how am I going to accomplish all of these big goals that I have if I'm just sitting here, like reading or watching YouTube videos or twiddling my thumbs or just taking too long to complete things? And I go into this mental spiral of beating myself up for doing things that in the moment I am enjoying. I'm enjoying reading. I am enjoying watching a video. I am enjoying writing. I'm enjoying my breakfast. And I'm in this present moment where I'm just feeling gratitude and contentment for life. And then all of a sudden a voice will pop in my head that tells me you should be doing this instead, or you should be doing this faster, or why are you wasting time? And then I get frazzled trying to talk to that voice or defend myself against that voice. When 30 seconds ago, I was just eating my eggs in peace and nothing bad was going on. And then all of a sudden, this just pops into my mind. And it can be really easy to let that voice spiral and snowball where it takes up hours of our time just fighting with that internal dialogue rather than actually taking an action in our lives and moving forward towards something that's helpful to us or helpful to other people. When I think about these bad days that I have where I'm fighting this internal voice versus bad days that I have where there's actually crap going on in my life and in the world, I realize that they still elicit the same feeling. And that got me thinking about how when we do feel like we're having bad days, our brains don't know what the difference is between real threat and threat that we imagine in our minds. And since we have free will and we're able to make choices, we get to choose what we focus on. But the hardest part of that is taking control of our minds and our thought patterns and realizing in this moment, I actually have control of what I focus on. Right now, things are not that bad. They feel bad, but it doesn't mean that they are bad. And if they are not that bad, that probably means that I have more choices in this moment than I feel like I have empowered to do. But the fact is, I am empowered to shift my thinking and to make a different choice. And I know how difficult this can be because sometimes stress is addictive. Sometimes problems are addictive. And that's especially true if you come from a background or an environment where problems were constant sources of energy. And if you are trained to do that, then of course you're seeking these micro dopamine hits from being able to solve a problem or run away from a problem or even cause a problem. It also made me think about when are the moments where I was feeling like I hit rock bottom. And I think rock bottom can be different for someone depending on what stage of life you're in. Like, I think my first rock bottom was probably when I was in elementary school, where I was a kid where I was like really bullied all of the time. And rock bottom in that sense was just feeling really lonely as a kid because I had no one to really talk to about all of these internal struggles I was going through. And so I retreated to my notebook where I wrote poetry, I wrote songs, I journaled, I started making art. And when I think about those moments when you're a kid and you don't have a lot of options or resources to help yourself, the most that you can really do is go inward and use whatever little stuff that you have. But if you think about that kid who has the resilience and the smarts to decide, I am feeling bad today, but I want to fix it. What can I do? And all of a sudden they get lost in a book, or they start drawing, or they start writing, or they start playing an instrument. That's a healthy coping mechanism. And I think as adults, instead of spiraling in our minds and being inactive or going into a fight or flight or freeze state, we can start to think like kids again and think more creatively, where when we're experiencing a bad day, what would the kid in me do to feel better? What would the kid in me do to inspire joy? Ask yourself, what is something playful in me that wants to come out that will help me get through this situation if I let myself just drop my shoulders and be a little bit looser and not be so tense and tight and stressed over today. What can I give myself to pick my energy levels back up so that I can recharge and do my best tomorrow? And that's something that I think everybody goes through. We all have situations where we have bad days, but if we look into the context of our lives, you've done something harder before. You've been in crappier situations before, and you figured out a way through it. If you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, I hope that this gave you some peace of mind. Everybody has bad days, but just know that you probably have more power in the choice of how things go from now moving forward than you feel in the moment. Until next time, friends, take care.